Look at this. ICE sources telling the New York Post that agents, quote, can't wait to get back onto the streets after President-elect Trump's incoming border czar said he may have to go ahead and, quote, flood agents to sanctuary cities in order to enact President-elect's policies. Meantime, House Democrats tell Fox News that Trump's plans for deportation are going to be really disastrous for the economy. Listen.
I think it would wreck our economy.
$88 billion to just process and deport 1 million people. Do the math. How is he going to pay for it?
Separating families, pulling out essential workforce, increasing inflation. None of those are things that our neighbors want us to be doing.
All right, let's bring in Jonathan Fahey, former acting ICE director and DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary. Jonathan, let's start there with what those Democrats told Hillary Vaughn on Capitol Hill today. They are not wrong when they say enacting Trump's plans are going to be expensive. The question is, how does that price tag stack up with the trillions of dollars the Fed has been spending and local governments to house, feed, and support the millions of people who've crossed the southern border illegally?
You're exactly right. They never talk about that. And that's kind of the funny thing about that. It's too expensive to deport people. But the latest thing, there was a study, I think it was in June of this year, and it's been reported by the New York Post, that just last year it was $150 billion just to pay for illegal immigrants in terms of education, healthcare, other types of things. That doesn't even count the things like the rising cost of housing, the reduced access to medical care. So really, it's kind of funny because if we're talking about costs, we probably save money by deporting people. But the thing that's really amazing, which I think is the most important point here, is they're fighting against people coming into sanctuary cities from deporting people. And as you know, the sanctuary cities, they're fighting to keep people that are criminals in this country, people that are in jails, people that have been convicted of crimes. So it's so remarkable that they are fighting ICE to prevent them from, deporting rapists or assault and battery defendants or burglars or anything else. They're fighting that tooth and nail. It's truly astonishing. If the people really knew that, I think what sanctuary cities truly were, they would be aghast. But I think, Tom Homan is coming in, and I think he has the support of ICE, the support of law enforcement, the support of the American people, and he's a spine of steel, and I think it's going to do a lot. They're going to deport people, get rid of the most dangerous people quickly, and, people won't want to come in.
The question, though, is not necessarily what does the incoming administration want to do. They've been very, very clear about that. The question is, what can they actually do? Interestingly, Democratic Mayor Eric Adams made a point on this earlier on TV today. I want to get your response to what he says here about how this is going to go down.
Americans have been clear, though. We have a broken immigration system. I don't believe in mass deportation, but we can't deport those who commit crimes in our city. We are not allowed to connect with ICE. This is a failed system. We need to fix it.
So that's the crux of, obviously you disagree with them, but the crux of the problem there is even if you have the best trained ICE officers in the world who are ready, willing, and able to enact this mass deportation, how are they going to find the people that they seek to deport when you have cities, who legally are not allowed to give them any information?
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges, but I think people find out, ICE finds out when people are in the jails. The problem is the jails won't tell them when they're getting released, so they don't know that people are getting released. So they need to get more cooperation from these sanctuary cities. One of the things they could do is what incentives can they withhold from the sanctuary cities or provide to the non-sanctuary cities. They can also do things like deputize local agents, local police departments to help find people, help arrest them. And I think that one of the most critical things
that's
is
a viable.
That's something they could put state, deputize them or put them on task force to help arrest people, deport them. But the most important thing is this needs to stop coming in. So once people know that if they come in, they're getting kicked out, they're not going to want to get kicked in. So and you saw from the first Trump administration. So you look at things like Remain in Mexico, and that once those are in place, the flow stops coming in. There are more resources to go out and find people. People may want to self-deport, and certainly let's get rid of the criminals. Can we all agree on? Can we all agree, especially what's going on in Georgia with Lake and Riley? Can we at least get out the criminals?
And prevention is cheaper than treatment on the back.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to leave it there, Jonathan. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.